Ogechi and Nkem have been best friends for a very long time. They loved the same thing. They fancied the same things. It was like they were soul sisters. They met during their university days and have been closer ever since then. Ogechi is a very beautiful brown-skinned lady and she loves to keep to herself. She is the type of lady who, even if she is going through something, you would not know. Unlike her friend Nkem, who is daring and bold. Nkem pushed her friend into doing most things. Nkechi is from a very wealthy home and is an only child. Her mother is late and she has been very close to her father. Her mother was a loving, beautiful soul, but she passed away a few years ago in a plane crash. Since then, Ogechi has had phobia for flying as it reminds her of the horror she had to go through as a young lady who needed her mother's guidance, while her father was always too busy working and hardly made time for her. Nkem is from an average home. Her parents did their best to nurture her to the best of their ability, and she hardly stays home as she has her own place. It wasn't long before Ogechi met Isu, a very handsome man. They both bumped into each other in a cafe, and ever since then, it has been all sweet and rosy between them. Nkem was super happy for her friend, and she was glad Ogechi was dating a man, and it wouldn't just be her giving Ogechi the gist all the time. Ogechi and Izu dated for a while, got to know each other more. Izu has dreams of leaving the country to pursue his master's degree and get a good job that will earn him a better salary. But Ogechi still has a phobia of flying, always remembering it was what cut short her mother's life. Ogechi and Izu bonded over many things and she knew she had found the one. It was no brainer that she accepted his marriage proposal when he asked her to marry him. Ogechi's father asked if she truly loved him, and she told her father that she really loved him. So he gave his consent and the wedding preparations kicked off. Nkem was her maid of honor, standing by her friend's side and helping with every step of the way. Ogechi looked so beautiful as she walked down the aisle, and seeing Izu waiting to marry her made her heart so full of joy and she couldn't wait to spend the rest of her life with him. As they stood side by side at the altar and exchanged their vows, Ogechi, with all smiles, eager to start life with Izu. Her father, being so rich, gave them a home as a gift so they could start their life, and also a car. They were super happy about this. Life was going so smoothly. Her father even secured a very good job for her. She was living her dream. However, it wasn't long before Ogechi noticed something strange about her husband. The spark she used to see in his eyes seemed to be gone. First, he took over the car, given to her by her father, making her use public transport. She did not want to complain because she felt it was the right thing to do, thinking it would help with his job hunting. Not long after, he asked her to submit her salary to him once she got paid, saying he would give her what he felt was enough for her. She opposed this, saying she couldn't do such a thing, and that if he needed money, he could just ask her, she would give it to him. This was the first time Izu laid his hands on his wife. Ogechi saw a part of Izu she had never seen before. He beat her so badly that she had to use heavy makeup the next day to work to hide her injuries. She went to work sad and disconnected from everyone, and her colleagues wondered what could be bothering her. She called her friend and came to meet up and talk. They talked for a while before Ogechi told her friend what happened to her. Nkem was beyond pissed and asked who the hell he thought he was to hurt her that way. Nkem even threatened to tell her father what her husband had done, but Ogechi begged her not to, knowing that could kill her father, given his high blood pressure. Nkem sympathized with her and advised her to divorce him, but Ogechi said she couldn't. They had only been married for 6 months, and she was worried about what people would say. Nkem told her it didn't matter, that it was better she left the marriage alive than stayed and lost her life because of public opinion. Ogechi went home that day, and as soon as she entered, her husband lashed out at her. She wondered what she had done this time for him to want to hurt her again. After he was done, he asked her who she had told about him hitting her. She said no one. He hit her again and gave the same answer. He then asked why Ruth, her colleague, had called to ask if everything was okay at home. She said she hadn't said a word to Ruth and begged him to stop. He told her she wouldn't go to work that week Since she couldn't keep her mouth shut, she pleaded and pleaded. He was adamant about what he had said and left her crying in the sitting room. She was already getting tired of his behavior and wondered how long she could put up with it. She even began to question whether he had always been this way or had been pretending all along. She got up and went to the room, took a shower and went to bed in tears. The next day, she woke up very early, got breakfast ready, cleaned the house and did everything she was supposed to do. She was about to leave for work when her husband stopped her, asking where she thought she was going. She told him she was going to work, and he replied, "Didn't I say you're not going anywhere?" She pleaded with him, explained that there was an important presentation that morning, and she was the one in charge. They were expecting a big company, and this could be a huge opportunity for her. As she was still explaining, he hit her and pushed her aside. She knew she was in big trouble. He grabbed her bag, ordered her to go upstairs, saying he was still being nice, or else she would get what she was looking for. She got up and went upstairs, unable to even make a phone call, as her phone was in her bag. Her phone kept buzzing as her colleagues were worried she hadn't come to work, but all effort to reach her proved abortive. She sat at the edge of her bed, crying her eyes out. He still made her do the chores, and she couldn't leave the house for an entire week. Her father called, but Izu had taken her phone. She didn't know. He then called Izu, who lied and said she had been seriously sick and advised to be on bed rest. Her father was seriously worried and wondered why Izu hadn't called to inform him of her situation. Izu apologized, saying he didn't want to worry him unnecessarily. Because of his high blood pressure, Izu approached Ogechi, who was now very afraid of him, and told her that he would allow her resume work under 3 conditions. Ogechi, desperate to escape the house and return to work, quickly agreed to listen to his conditions. First, she would have to lie to her father and everyone else, telling them she had been seriously ill and that the doctor had recommended bed rest. She agreed. He told her that he had a job for her to do that night, and she accepted, though she had no idea what the job was. Lastly, he said that if anyone found out about what was happening in their home, he would kill her. A chill ran down her spine, but she agreed, fearing for her life. She accepted all his conditions, and he returned her phone to her. Ogechi knew she had to come up with a plan to leave Izu before he made good on his threats. She returned to work, but the HR department sent for her. She was almost fired for making them lose a big contract. She apologized, explaining she couldn't communicate with them because of an emergency. The HR manager said she had reissued a query, and it was only because her father had explained the situation that she wasn't dismissed. She was also put on board for managing major projects until she showed her full commitment, and this setback killed her chances of getting a promotion. Her friend Nkem called and said she had been trying to reach her and hoped she was okay. Ogechi said she was alright and just recovering from an illness. Nkem asked if she was sure if she could confide in her, to which Ogechi replied yes, but Ogechi was scared that someone might be listening in on her conversation at work, so she told Nkem they would talk more when they saw each other. Not long after, Ogechi received a call from Izu telling her to be home by 6 p.m. sharp and not to go anywhere else, as he had a job for her to do. She became scared, wondering what kind of job he had for her this time. Nkem called at close of work, asking them to meet up, but Ogechi apologized, saying she needed to go home, that they would see the next day. When she got home, her husband told her to shower and laid out a beautiful outfit, along with lovely lingerie. She thought he must have changed and was doing all this to impress her. It seemed like he wanted to take her out for dinner. They went out and not a word was said during the drive. She dressed up and sat in the car while Izu drove quietly to the destination. When they arrived, he held her hand and brought her out of the car. She smiled, hoping this treatment wouldn't stop anytime soon. They sat at a table, placed an order, and Ogechi asked Izu what they were celebrating, as everything seemed so mysterious. He asked her, how so? Izu reminded her that she was there for work. She was puzzled and asked what work he was talking about. He told her she would soon understand. Not long after, the waiter came with their meal, and a handsome gentleman joined them. Izu introduced Ogechi to the man, saying his name was John and that she should ensure to treat him well. and adding that he would see her at home. Ogechi was confused as she was about to eat, looking at Izu as he walked away. John asked if she was okay, but she was so confused. She asked him what had just happened, and he looked at her and asked if she didn't know what she was there for. She replied if she knew, she wouldn't have asked, explaining that Izu just said he had a job for her. John told her they would discuss further in the room he had reserved. Ogechi immediately lost her appetite. She asked what she was supposed to be doing with him in a hotel room. He told her to follow him, that she would find out when they got there. Ogechi panicked, picked up her phone and dialed Izu's number. He picked up and she asked what was going on, telling him that she thought they were on a date. He laughed at her and said she should make sure to service the young man before she got back home, or else the house wouldn't be big enough for the two of them. He hung up on her. Ogechi was confused and terrified. John grabbed her hand and led her to the hotel room. She kept crying and pleading with him, but he paid no attention to her pleas. After a while, he asked what her relationship with Izu was like. She told him Izu was her husband, and John was shocked. "You mean your husband arranged for you to meet with me as a call girl?" "Wow," he said. He immediately lost his interest in her and called Izu angrily, asking for a refund. He then told Ogechi to leave the room, saying he didn't want to be part of any games they were playing. Ogechi knew she would be in a lot of trouble and called Nkem, telling her she was coming to her place. Izu called her, ordering her to head home immediately, but she quickly cut the call. When Ogechi arrived at her friend's place, she was in serious tears. Nkem tried to calm her down and asked what had happened. Ogechi narrated her ordeal in Izu's hands. Nkem was visibly pleased and said, "Who the hell does he think he is? And why haven't you told your father yet?" Nkem threatened to tell Ogechi's father before Izu killed her, but Ogechi begged her not to involve her father, fearing it would lead to his death from stress and worry. She asked Nkem to help her with a solution. Not long after, a heavy knock came on the door. Nkem asked who it was, and it turned out to be Izu. He had figured that Ogechi would run to her friend's house, threatening that the matter would get worse if she didn't. Nkem, enraged, asked who he thought he was to threaten her friend, but Izu told her to stay out of it, saying she wasn't his problem. He warned Ogechi that if she didn't come out, their marriage was over and he would still hunt her down. Ogechi knew this would break her father's heart, so she begged Nkem to let her follow Izu go. Nkem begged her not to go, but Ogechi assured her she would be alright and followed Izu home. When they got home, Izu immediately asked Ogechi what she had told her friend. She said she only just arrived at Nkem's place when he knocked. He slapped her and called her a liar. He asked again, and she said she had only told Nkem that he hadn't allowed her to go to work that way, and was about to explain everything when he showed up. He pulled out a knife and asked her if she remembered when he had warned her not to tell anyone, threatening to kill her if she did. She begged him and promised never to speak another word to anyone. He told her he would forgive her this time, but she should get ready to meet another man tomorrow, and on no account should she tell the man that they were married, or it would go very badly for them. She cried and could barely sleep that night. She thought about her mother, wondering what she would have done to help her if she were still alive. The last thing she wanted was to hurt her father, who was already in and out of the hospital. She thought about her friend Nkem, questioning how she could keep such a terrible secret from the one person who cared about her. She didn't know how she had gotten herself into this mess and who could help her out now. She had so many thoughts rolling through her mind. When she went to work the next day, she couldn't concentrate and her colleagues noticed, asking if she was alright. She said she was just tired. That night, Izu got her dressed up and took her to meet another man named Alex. He was a soft and kind man, and when they were together, he asked if she was okay. She dared not say anything out of fear of getting into trouble and kept saying she was fine. No matter how many times he asked, she couldn't stop crying. Alex noticed she wasn't in the mood and picked up his phone to call Izu, but Ogechi went on her knees begging him not to call, saying it would get her into a lot of trouble. Alex asked why she had so much fear in her eyes, assuring her that Izu wouldn't want her. She asked Alex to lie, saying they had done something and promised to refund his money. She said she couldn't pay it all at once, but would do so bit by bit, when she asked how much Izu had charged. Alex stated in loud tone. Ogechi looked at herself, realizing she had been reduced to a prostitute. Alex told her that he really liked her, not just because he wanted to sleep with her, but because he needed a companion. He ordered drinks and asked her to feel free to express herself, assuring her he wouldn't hurt her, just wanted to get to know her better. She sat on the bed and begged him to promise not to tell Izu that she had said anything to him. He promised. There was something about Alex that made Ogechi trust him, and she felt at peace for the first time in a while. She narrated everything to him, and Alex was shocked. He asked if she was sure of what she had just told him, asking if Izu was really her husband. She replied that he was. Alex was beyond shocked. He had never heard of anything like that before. He understood her plight and asked why she didn't just leave Izu. Ogechi told him that Izu would hurt her if she tried to escape. Alex assured her that they would meet again tomorrow, promising to come up with a plan to help her get away from him. She felt happy and relieved for the first time, knowing that someone was finally fighting for her. She had never had anyone fight for her before. Alex told her to act like everything was alright, assuring her that he would think of something soon. She thanked him and they both rested that night. She returned the next morning and Izu greeted her, asking if she had done a good job with Alex. She kept a straight face and Izu commented that he knew she was always loose, adding that she had probably given it to Alex really good since he had requested to see her again. Ogechi asked Izu if he had ever truly loved her or if he had always been pretending. Izu asked why she was asking such questions, telling her she was lucky he was in a good mood and ordering her to go in and freshen up. As she was about to go in, she felt faint, and that was the last thing she remembered. When she opened her eyes, she found herself in the hospital, wondering why she was there. She called out to a nurse and asked why she was brought to the hospital. The doctor was called in, and it was revealed to both Ogechi and Izu that she was 4 weeks pregnant. Izu looked both surprised and angry, as though his plans had been ruined. He asked the doctor if the pregnancy could be terminated, but the doctor said they didn't perform such procedures at the clinic. Instead, he advised they start preparing to welcome the baby and gave Ogechi medication and told her what strenuous activities to avoid and what not to eat to have a healthy pregnancy. He also told her to register for antenatal care immediately. Ogechi wasn't happy about the news. She wanted the baby out too, and she couldn't imagine raising a child with Izu, who had become a monster. When they got home, Izu told her they would get rid of that baby. Ogechi asked, "What if I don't want to get rid of the baby?" Izu replied with a chilling tone, "We'll see who is the boss in this house." He told her to go and get some rest, as she would be meeting with Alex again, and under no circumstances should she tell him about the pregnancy. He smirked, adding, "Who knows, we might pin the child on him and get more money." He even instructed her not to use protection when they met, so he could perfect his plans. Ogechi, shocked and disgusted, responded firmly, "I'm not going anywhere, especially now that I know I'm carrying your child." Izu, getting angry, walked towards her, and she feared he would hit her, but he stopped himself and said, "No, I won't beat this child out of you. I had bigger plans for you both. Now go and rest, for the night is young." Ogechi went upstairs, took a shower, put on a light dress and had something to eat before trying to take a nap. She felt weak, not just physically but emotionally, drained from everything happening. She needed to think of a way out. Later that evening, Izu came to wake her up, insisting she get dressed to go meet Alex. She pleaded with him, saying she wasn't feeling strong enough to go out that night and suggested they postpone the meeting, but Izu refused. He insisted that she get ready, showing no care or concern for her condition. Ogechi felt a deep sadness as she realized how inhumane Izu had become. She just learned she was pregnant, and instead of showing any form of support, he was forcing her to meet with another man for money. However, a small part of her was renewed because she knew she would be meeting Alex, who had promised to help her escape. They arrived at the hotel. Shortly after, Izu jumped her off, reminding her of the room number and driving off. Ogechi made her way to Alex's room, hoping he had come up with an idea to save her. Alex welcomed her warmly, but immediately sensed something was wrong. They both sat down, and Ogechi in tears narrated her ordeal from earlier in the day, including the discovery of her pregnancy and Izu's plan to pin the baby on Alex. Alex sympathized with her deeply and told her that while he had found a solution to get her away from Izu, the pregnancy complicated things. Ogechi, still hopeful, urged him to share his plans. Alex brought out a small vial liquid of potion and handed it to her. He explained that it was not just poison, but a substance that once mixed into Izu's food would cause him to forget all the horrible things he had done to her. That once Izu forgot, his attitude would change and the matter would be resolved. Ogechi was taken aback. She hadn't experienced this kind of solution and was skeptical. She asked Alex if there wasn't a better way, but he insisted that this was the safest option. If you go to the police, he might make you disappear. Alex warned, and if you try to run away, what will you tell your father? This way he will forget everything and move on. Ogechi stared at the vial, wondering if she could trust Alex. It's not poison, right? She asked nervously. I don't want to be responsible for anyone's death. Alex assured her it's not poison. Just do as I have said and you'll be fine. After giving it some thought, Ogechi agreed. She thanked Alex for his help and they both rested that night. The next day, Ogechi returned home. As she walked into the house, she was startled to see Izu standing by the door. He asked her how things went and she replied that everything had gone fine. But she was jumpy and Izu noticed. He started to suspect something was off. He told her he was already making preparations for the abortion, and Ogechi just nodded before heading to her room to rest. With a heavy heart, she got ready for work. At work, her friend Nkem came to visit her and asked why she hadn't been answering her calls. Ogechi apologized, saying she didn't mean to ignore her call, that she was really sorry. Nkem, sensing something was wrong, suggested they go out for lunch to talk. Once outside the office, away from prying eyes, Ogechi told Nkem everything that had been happening. The pregnancy, Izu's threat, and the vow Alex had given to her. Nkem was outraged. He deserves to rot in jail for this, she foamed. You're too good for him, Ogi, and you don't deserve all this. Ogechi agreed, but told Nkem she was still scared of what might happen. I'll put the substance in his food tonight, she said, because I don't want him to terminate the pregnancy. I want to keep the baby. Nkem, though surprised, asked why Ogechi wanted to keep the baby. Ogechi replied, as far as I'm concerned, this baby has nothing to do with Izu. I want to raise the baby on my own, free from him. Nkem asked her to give it a serious thought, as raising a child alone would be difficult. But Ogechi was determined. They checked the time and realized they had spent too much time talking and said their goodbyes. Nkem reminded Ogechi to keep in touch, and Ogechi promised she would. That evening, Ogechi went home, prepared a sumptuous meal, and with trembling hands, she held the vow. She hesitated, wondering if she could really go through with it. She was terrified but knew it was the only way out. After a deep breath, she poured the substance into Izu's food and served him. Izu came downstairs after she called him to eat. They sat at the dining table, and he casually asked her how her day had gone. She said it went fine. Then he asked if she had met someone or if someone had visited. Ogechi's heart pounded in her chest as she wondered if his spy had informed him about anything. She denied meeting with anyone, and he asked again. When she denied it the second time, Izu snapped. He lunged at her, beating her viciously until she started bleeding. She screamed, begging him to stop, reminding him she was carrying his baby. I don't care, Izu shouted. It's better you lose that bastard now than waste my money trying to get rid of it later. He continued beating her until she fainted. When Ogechi woke up, she found herself in a dark room, her hands tied. She called out, and not long after, Izu entered the room with a menacing smile. So you're finally awake, he said coldly. Now let's continue where we left off. Ogechi looked at him with fear in her eyes. He asked her why her friend Nkem had called and threatened him. She said nothing. Terrified, he asked again, more angrily, who she had met at work. Ogechi finally confessed that she had met Nkem, but only to discuss work. Izu, furious, hit her again, accusing her of lying. What was our agreement? You were not to tell anyone, he shouted. Today I'll show you what happens when you go against my wishes. Before she could respond, Izu attacked her again and she lost consciousness. When she woke up, she found herself in a hospital bed with Alex by her bedside. She tried to speak but passed out again. After 2 weeks in the coma, Ogechi finally woke up and asked the nurse about her condition. The nurse informed her that she had lost the baby. Ogechi cried bitterly. Even though she hadn't wanted the baby at first, she couldn't help but mourn the loss. As memories of the event that led to her hospitalization came flooding back, Ogechi realized she couldn't stay with Izu any longer. She decided she would tell her father no matter what. If she stayed with Izu, she knew he would kill her. Alex visited her again, and this time she was able to speak with him. He hugged her tightly, relieved that she had survived. Ogechi was confused as to why Alex had been the one by her side and not Izu. Alex explained that after not hearing from her, he had become suspicious. Luckily, with the information I gathered, I got to your home. When I arrived, I saw Izu driving out and decided to follow him. He went to a remote river in the city, and from a distance, I saw him pop the trunk and throw something heavy into the river. After he left, I went closer and noticed it was you. I hurriedly got you out before you drowned and brought you to this hospital. She was beyond horrified. Ogechi said, "What you mean to tell me is that if you hadn't come when you did or even followed him, I might have ended up in a newspaper as a woman found dead in a river?" Alex nodded. She wept even more, scared and confused. Why would he go to such an extent to hurt me? What have I ever done to him to deserve this? She cried. She asked where Izu was now, and Alex said, "I asked a private investigator to follow him, and they discovered he has a lover, and they are planning to get married today in a secret wedding." She asked if he knew who Izu was getting married to, and Alex responded, "No, but I can find out if you want to." She got ready and was discharged from the hospital. Afterwards, she dressed in black, as that was what she wanted to wear. Her mind kept racing to her colleague Ruth, who had been asking her lots of questions lately and checking if she was okay. She just wanted to see for herself if it was truly Izu getting married today. When she arrived at the venue, she was shocked to see it was indeed her husband Izu, standing at the altar preparing to marry another woman. To her disbelief, the bride was not even her colleague Ruth, but her best friend Nkem. Rage and betrayal and pain consumed her, but Ogechi held herself together. As the ceremony was about to begin, she stepped forward and the entire room went silent. Izu face turned pale when he saw her. "Ogechi," he stammered clearly. Ogechi, still dressed in black, approached him slowly. "So this is the woman you have been cheating on me with? The woman you tried to kill me for?" Nkem looked equally stunned and horrified, realizing she had been part of a terrible scheme. "I thought you killed her." The congregation gasped in horror. Izu's wide eyes stammered, "You're supposed to be dead. What are you doing here?" The girl started whispering as the scene unfolded, tension thick in the air. Without waiting for an explanation, Ogechi turned to the crowd and said, "This man tried to kill me and dump my body in a river, and now he's here marrying my best friend." Gasps and murmurs filled the room. Izu attempted to speak, but Ogechi cut him off. "You will answer for your crimes," she said coldly. Alex, who had been watching from her back, stepped forward with the private investigator and a few police officers. They approached Izu and Nkem and had both of them arrested on the spot for attempted murder. Ogechi walked out of the venue, her head held high, feeling a mixture of relief and sorrow. That evening, Alex consoled her, advising her to file for a divorce. Ogechi, still in shock, never thought she would go through a divorce. What hurt her the most was that her best friend was behind everything. She couldn't rest until she confronted Nkem. She asked why. The next day, when she went to the police station to see Nkem, sitting across from Ogechi, "What did I ever do to you to deserve this?" Nkem sneered and replied, "You think you can take my university sweetheart from me and get away with it?" Ogechi was confused. "What are you talking about?" Nkem explained that during their university days, Ogechi had taken Okechukwu away from her, knowing she had a crush on him. Ogechi, still confused, said, "But you never told me you liked him. When he asked me out, I told you, and you didn't seem to mind. If I had known, I wouldn't have even dated him. Besides, he only wanted to date me for my father's money." He can't feel the rage, replied, "I hated you ever since, and I set you up with Izu to destroy you." Ogechi, shocked, stood up. "I never knew I had an enemy for a friend. I hope you rot in jail. I cursed the day I met you." Without another word, Ogechi walked out, leaving Nkem behind. When Ogechi returned home, she told her father everything, and he handled the news better than she had feared. He was grateful she was alive and thanked Alex for saving her. That night, Alex confessed that he loved Ogechi. She was surprised but told him she wasn't ready for a relationship. After all she had been through, Alex promised to wait for her, no matter how long it took. In the end, Izu and Nkem were sentenced to 20 years imprisonment for attempted murder and bigamy. Over time, Ogechi and Alex loved, blossomed, and they eventually got married, raising a family together. The end. Some of the lessons to be learned from this story are: some people you call friends are waiting for an opportunity to bring you down over a grudge they have kept. Learn to keep some things to yourself and always apologize when you hurt someone so they don't seek revenge in the worst way. What other lessons did you learn from this story? Kindly comment them below and I'll see you in the next one. Till then, bye! Thank you so much for watching till the end. Please click on the subscribe button to support us. Turn on the post notification to get notified when I upload a new story. Like, share, and comment your thoughts. Till then, bye!